I'm here today with the fabulous, the gorgeous, the wonderful Kenneth M. Walsh.
Hello.
AKA Kenneth in the 212. How are you?
I'm great, and thank you for calling me Kenneth in the 212 instead of Kenneth in the 212, as my mother likes to call me. Thank you.
You've written a book.
I have.
Wasn't Tomorrow Wonderful? I don't want to say it's for queens of a certain age.
Well, you just did.
It's sort of a general, growing up tale of coming into your own. There's so many references in it and so many things that just ring true. It's amazing how universal all of our experiences were.
Yeah, that's been my experience. Everybody who writes to me, they feel like they live the exact same thing, and I'm like, I thought I was this total freak who went it alone. But I think we're learning more and more with the internet and everything that we're all a bunch of freaks.
Like at one point, you just mentioned Christopher Atkins in the Blue Lagoon, and like it all just comes
I was at
flooding.
the Abbey last night, and that came up 3 times.
That was their life-changing moment in their life.
Sneaking into the Blue Lagoon, saying you were going to see How to Beat the High Cost of Living.
And seeing him masturbate, first of all, that was like, you've never seen anybody masturbate on film before.
No. And no one ever did it better.
And then the scene where he's swimming and you see his penis.
Wow, we all found that still later on, but we all...
I'm a child of the 70s, but I also grew up in Michigan. I remember the Oakland child killer like it was yesterday. It was in your hometown.
Yeah, it was like 1976 or 7. Kids my age who were like 8 years old were being killed. They were vanishing. The only thing they knew about the guy was that he drove a blue Gremlin, one of those AMC cars, those horrible AMC cars. So the schools were freaking out, and they would have like a daily meeting of like, don't go with strangers. We had these coloring books, we had these pamphlets.
We had the coloring books too. Even though it was...
Yeah, you guys just wanted to be in on the action. You were like,
right, we
nothing
were
happens in Saginaw. No one would want to kidnap one of our kids. I just became fascinated. I would clip out all the articles in the paper, and I had like a little bulletin board. I was a transfer student during first grade, which anytime you're the new kid, you get picked on. The desk I was sitting at used to belong to some girl named Paula. This hot kid in class decided that I was Paula the rest of the year, and they all called me Paula, and nobody would be my friend. So then I decided, well, maybe if I could get this killer, turn the tables on him, and then I would become like the hero. So I like started plotting how I could become kidnapped.
So you would like walk flagrantly down the street trying
Yes,
to
gussing
get
myself up in my like shortest shorts and my highest tube socks. My parents ended up going to a movie at the theater right by where one of the people was killed. One of the girls was killed. I decided that was going to be the night I was going to like entrap this killer. It didn't work out, obviously.
But you were going to seduce your. And you were going to seduce.
Keep in mind, I was like 8. It was really messed up. I'm sure my mom loved reading that chapter.
But I remember, like, you get those weird things in your head.
This elaborate scheme.
I remember I wanted to be a supervillain, and I stole my sister's dance outfit, and my goal was I was going to break into the city jail and sing "Daybreak" by Barry Manilow, and they were going to be so entranced that my friend Matt Royer was going to let out all the prisoners, and they were going to be my henchmen, like I'm Batman.
Oh yeah, I love a good henchman.
January 29th, 1982. I was there, I remember.
Did you see it?
I did, and it had the exact same effect on me too. Tell everybody what it was.
Making Love was like this first big budget gay movie that was going to be released on the world. Kate Jackson was on The Tonight Show to promote it. I didn't even remember the specifics. All I knew was that when she started describing the plot, that it was a love story, and she was very timid in the way she was explaining it. But it's about a man who has an affair with another man. And the crowd had like this visceral reaction, they was like, ooh.
They booed.
They booed her. They're booing a Charlie's Angel,
and they're booing
me, is how I felt.
They're booing the idea of homosexuality.
Gay people.
And to see that the world hated you.
Yeah, I feel like it gave me an anxiety disorder that I talk about in the book, because I used to be a very outgoing kid. I was like selling things door to door. I was this very gregarious kid, and all the adults responded to me and kids liked me. But after that, I changed dramatically.
Really?
It's kind of taken me like 30 years to kind of get back to that person that I think I would have been.
That was a scary moment for all of us.
And I'm sure the producers and at Kate or even the host, sure they didn't really think too much about it afterwards, not knowing that it had like permanently scarred a generation of gay kids.
Yeah.
Or at least, you know, all the ones who saw it.
And then you said that you've gone back and watched it since then.
Someone recently uploaded it on YouTube, and I was sick to my stomach even playing it. You know, your memory doesn't remember everything correctly. I thought it was Johnny Carson that night, but like I said, it turned out there was
in
a
my
guest
mind,
host.
it was Johnny
Yeah,
too.
because it was the Tonight Show.
In my mind, the booze went on for
yeah,
an hour.
and it wasn't nearly
and
as...
people were throwing raw
yes,
tomatoes
yes.
at her.
Remember that? And she was like, oh. It was horrifying all over again, but I think maybe I have thicker skin is maybe why it didn't seem as bad, because it was bad.
There's a lot of mommy issues in the book.
There are.
Molly. I picture her a little bit like the mother in Malcolm in the Middle. She's
That's about right.
Like sort of a ballsy, tell it like it is.
No filter. My brothers and sister and I, we were so used to it, like her ripping us a new asshole every other day, that it didn't faze us. It was
One
good.
of the things that just was jaw-dropping to me was when you caught your mom. She was doing something to your sister.
She was washing my sister's hair in the bathroom sink for whatever reason. And my sister was probably like 7 and I was 13, and you know, the whole gay issues was coming.
You were a little gay boy,
right.
but you weren't quite
but
there
I wasn't
yet.
there. I could tell my sister was like getting antsy, and my mom kind of like was hurting her. She was like, hold still, and I could hear the head bouncing off the faucet. So I stuck my head and I was like, you know, Mom, you know, just be careful. I think you're hurting her. And she wasn't expecting me, and she kind of went, stay out of this, woman. And I was just like, okay, I guess she's on to me.
When you're writing about your mom, I cannot imagine writing about my family. I just, like, what is their reaction?
You know, I don't want to hurt my mom's feelings, you know. I'm sure you could tell from the book, I love her
Sure.
to death. She's like my idol in too many ways. She's 70 years old, she's gonna be in one book her whole life, and it's talking about the time she did a few things that she's probably not proud of. Who would be happy, right?
Right.
So I get it. But it just got to the point that I had to do this very cold reception, and we had like a few months of, you know. I didn't tell her it was even happening until it was practically coming out, because I figured something could happen. One of us could get killed.
You're hoping that she
yeah,
dies of old age.
Yeah, it did enter my mind. Even after it was out, I stalled for a month and pretended like it had gotten postponed again. But eventually, it got to the point where my sister was like, Mom's asking me about it, and my sister had read it. So I finally mailed my mom a copy, and then I heard that my stepfather asked her what she thought and if he could see it, and she said, I've put it away. I don't want to discuss it. And then the funny thing was, the only thing that she was disputing was, Knots Landing wasn't on Saturday, it was on Thursday. And I'm like, I'm accusing you of like all these horrible things and like abusing us and like doing all these crazy things, and you're like upset about what day of the week a TV show was on. In my defense, I wasn't saying Knots Landing was on Saturday. It was, yeah, it was kind of a joke. But on my birthday, which was like about 2 weeks ago, she and my stepfather called me on speakerphone and gave me this big embrace that, you know, FYI, don't worry about the book. We're very proud of you. We love you. There's no problem. And things just immediately felt normal again.
You talk about your social anxiety disorder. What happens to you? What goes on in your head?
I have actually like an extreme blushing problem.
Oh.
So before I was being medicated.
Do you blush now? Are you blushing now that I mention it? Can I get you to blush?
No, it's really weird, and that's why
There goes! To me, and I'm sure to 99.9% of the world, like if someone blushes, who cares? Nobody's even thinking about
Right.
it. But to you, it is a seismic event.
You know, if someone tells a sex joke and you blush, or someone puts you on the spot and you blush, that's normal.
Right.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about people say, how was your weekend?
And
or a job interview, and you're just like, you know, my glasses were fogging up.
Do you have enough distance from this to know that it probably, that they weren't even noticing?
Actually, a lot of people told me they did notice.
Oh.
It was really bad. And to find out that there was an actual term for it and it's being studied, it was a really big relief in a way.
Isn't that always? Like whenever those things that like you think, it's just
like being
you.
gay, right?
It's just you,
It's
and you're
just
the only
another-
person in the world who
I have like
experienced-
9 of those things that are going against me now, you know, it's like,
No, I know.
maybe it is me, I think is the takeaway.
Ladies and gentlemen, the summer read. Wasn't Tomorrow Wonderful? Kenneth M. Walsh. And read your blog, Kenneth and the 212.
212.